G'day there guys, the entitled dad in the room here, Marky, back at it again with another episode of r/entitled people. Now if you love me like I love you, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a like on the video, a prawn on the Barbie, and enjoy today's bloody good content. Posted by user ArkinBiblo12, titled, My entitled step-aunt gives up a $700 puppy after 4 days. My step-aunt is one of the most entitled members of our family. Growing up with rich parents, she never truly worked a day in her life. Most of the family has little to no contact with her because of how much BS she pulls on a regular basis. The craziest thing she's ever done is pressure her Brazilian boyfriend into having a kid with her, only for her to falsely accuse him of being an illegal immigrant, ruining his career. I feel sorry for her kid. A few weeks ago, she decided to fly from New York City to Alabama to buy a $700 spotted Chihuahua puppy, then fly to Florida to visit my grandparents. We were already mad at her because she really shouldn't have been traveling now of all times, especially to visit the most at-risk member of our family. In her regular fashion, she decided that the dog was too much to handle after only 4 days and abandoned it with my grandparents. No message, no asking if they could look after it. She literally left without a word and provided no supplies to take care of the pup. Of course, my family is furious because they know she'll want it back when it gets older, only for her to mistreat it anyways. There's a slight silver lining to this whole thing. My grandpa absolutely hates Florida and has been stuck inside for months because of the pandemic. A few months before they moved, his oldest dog passed away, so he's been enjoying taking care of a new one. What to learn from this? Don't travel during a goddamn pandemic, and don't buy a living creature if you aren't willing to take care of it. Posted by user Jane Doe, titled, Entitled teenager won't move for a tractor, gets rolled over. I just read an article in German about a 17-year-old girl who decided it was a great idea to trespass and go on a plowed field to get some rest. Then the farmer who owns the property wanted to mow it and use his tractor with the mower. She admitted that she heard the tractor coming but thought the farmer noticed her. Well, of course he didn't, and rolled over her with one wheel and the mower and continued to mow because he didn't notice rolling over her. She called her mother, who called an ambulance. She's still alive with some cuts that aren't life-threatening. Imagine being so goddamn entitled that you trespass, hear the owner coming with a tractor, and don't feel the need to move. Posted by user Pineapple Upside Down Cake, titled, Parents demand I quit gym membership because my older brother and dad aren't as fit as they used to be. Hey everybody, it's been a few weeks since I posted my first crazy family story, so now's as good a time as any to share another one. Some backstory. My two brothers have always been naturally skinny and maintained an active lifestyle throughout most of their life. I, 31 male, on the other hand, was born on the pudgier side, and never really had an interest in sports other than swimming, but didn't get, nor want at the time, to work on that hobby. By the time that I was in the army, as service is mandatory where I live, I was quite heavy at 246 pounds. While I was never teased about my weight, my family, and especially my mother, enjoyed poking fun at it, my eating habits, and so on. Mom rolling her eyes whenever someone commented I've lost weight, and so on. Since she was, and still is, quite the blob herself, I just ignored her or commented as such. But being stationed in a faraway base where combat units were also serving at, most of the guys in the base were quite fit. I, on the other hand, wasn't assigned a combative role due to a medical condition, and no, it didn't have to do with anything about my weight, but a very minor birth defect that I was rid of by the time I was 12. But the army is stupid like that, so they didn't want to take any chances to put me in harm's way. So instead of putting me in a combative role, they decided to have me on the oh-so-safe field of heavy-duty machinery. Genius. Anyways, most of the men serving in my unit were very fit and very muscular, and while I was never jealous at them nor teased for being fat, one day I just took a good look in the mirror and was like, I can do better. And so I decided to start and change things. I'd watch very carefully what I ate, drank mostly water, joined the boys on their evening jogs, convinced my sergeant friend to get me an access to their gym, and have him train me in Krav Maga a few times a week if he was able to, or Krav Maga, depending on how you want to say that. I kept on to what I was doing, and was very strict at keeping it until I've reached my target weight, and soon enough I had to pay a visit to the quartermasters and get a smaller sized uniform. After a year and a half of regular exercise, weightlifting, and a healthy diet, I lost a lot of weight. A few pounds shy of the target, and built quite a lot of muscle mass. In all honesty, it was my sergeant friend who convinced me to visit. Officially, it was exclusive to the combat units, but in reality, it was available for everyone on base. Their gym, and encouraged me to lose weight. Man, am I glad I listened. While I was very proud of the progress I've made, my family, who have teased me about my big fat ass for most of my life, weren't as happy as I was, but said nothing. The teasing has stopped, but there wasn't much beyond that, other than a semi-compliment like, "Did you take this shirt from one of your brothers?" whenever I wore something that actually fit me, or "Why are you still wearing this huge thing?" if I kept clothing from the time that I was bigger. I still got comments during meals if I took an extra scoop, but whatever, I didn't care. I didn't lose weight to get compliments, okay? Maybe I did, but just a little bit, okay? Moving on. By the time I turned 22, I was back into civilian life as well as working myself through university and also a part-time job. Also, during that time I have saved enough to afford a membership at a gym close to campus. They were on the more pricey side, but that's due for the location being more high-end. While I was being the healthiest and most physically fit I've ever been in my life, my older brother wasn't faring as much. He had stopped jogging, his smoking got worse, and was getting chubbier every day. He's still not obese by any chance, but he's not nearly as fit as he used to be, and he's only in his late 30s. It only got worse in family gatherings, especially weddings, where a lot of distant relatives and those we don't meet often would also be present. Also, I'm a massive introvert, so fully packed events are not my thing, so I'd often avoid those and barely even met with my extended family during my service. So you can imagine some of my relatives' shock seeing me over 100 lighter. Some didn't even recognize me. I guess my brother got some comments from people because he'd no longer look smug whenever he looked at me. About 8 months into my membership there, my mum sat me down, as I was still living at home, and the conversation went as follows. Me is me, BM is the womb I came out of, and OB is older bollocks. I say, "What's up? Is everything okay?" "Look, everything's fine, honey, but I just wanted to talk to you about something." "Okay?" I already had a bad feeling. These conversations always seem to be about me doing something wrong. "Well, you know your father and I are very proud at how far you've come. You're looking very handsome." "Aw, thanks, Mom." This was a very rare compliment. "But me and Dad are a little worried. With all the expenses we have along with your tuition and not your gym membership, we're getting a little tight. Can you cancel your membership, please? We can no longer afford it." Me, thinking, okay, here we go. Mum, you guys don't pay for my gym membership. I do. "And who gave you that money?" "It's money I've saved from birthdays, allowance from way back when, and work. Also, I'm on a scholarship, so you do know you guys aren't paying for school either, right?" Mum's getting frustrated and says, "Well, you can't go to your gym anymore." "And why is that?" "Because we, she and Dad, think your older brother should use it instead. He really wants to go to that gym, but he can't afford it. It really depresses him. Don't you think it's mean of you to keep going there while he cannot?" "Mum, be real. OB makes twice the money I make, so he can afford a gym membership on his own. That said, the gym isn't located anywhere near his apartment." "That doesn't matter. We decided that you can't go anywhere. It's not fair towards OB. You're going to cancel your membership and that's final." "No." "Well, I will be giving them a call, son, and cancel it for you." "Impossible unless you can imitate my voice and add my credit card. Stop being selfish and be more fair towards your brother. Right. Why can't you just do this one thing for your brother? It's bad enough he quit jogging. Now he's smoking and you're not helping him with what you're doing. Come on, my name. Be more considerate. Also, think about your father. Dad has a problem with me working out too? You know Hal can barely move with his bad back. Mum, Dad can move just fine. Just yesterday, I helped him clear out the garage. He had his own gym membership, which he had to quit only recently due to COVID. You're not being fair, my name. I'm holding on to my last nerve and I say, Mum, I'm not going to stop working out because some 30-plus-year-old man baby hates seeing me getting healthier while he tries tucking in his beer gut. If my looser genes affect OB so much, he can get up and do something about it. Funny how you've never said anything to either of my brothers to tone it down while I was fat. How dare you say that about your brothers? At that point, I just got up and went on my business while she sulked and gave me the cold shoulder for the rest of the day. However, during mealtimes, she'd try to get me to eat a lot more or cook very fatty things, but only sugar-packed drinks, bring up fast food places whenever we went eating out, and then get mad at me whenever I said that McDonald's is not a restaurant. Whatever she tried to do didn't work, and I soon began buying my type of soft drinks myself, or just drink more water, if I drank anything that wasn't either sugar-free or diet. Now, even though my dad supported OB, he didn't say much, and I have no idea why she even brought him up. Anyways, that's my tale. I've lived with him for 4 more years until I've saved enough to move out in 2015. After that, some things have happened that led me to cut all contact with all 3 of them. Stay safe out there. Posted by user HJThere4857, titled, But I'm the Victim! So, I was heading home from a vacation in North Carolina, and long story short, this Karen, we'll call her K, is speeding at an intersection and ends up hitting my car, which completely flips it over. I end up having to be pulled from the sunroof of my car. Thank God I have one, because with a broken leg, I couldn't really get out myself. Karen's freakout starts when I'm literally getting glass pulled out of my arm. Karen dramatically throws herself from her car and starts screaming in pain and cursing at me while holding her leg and rolling around. But as soon as a paramedic notices her, she magically stops wailing. After a brief examination, the paramedic simply tells her, "You're fine." Kay immediately starts to argue, but after she realizes her defeat, she storms over to me in a huff. Mind you, I'm still getting glass out of my arm. The conversation went kinda like this. "You hit my car and ruined my kid's day." Her kids weren't even in the car with her. "What do you have to say for yourself?" I did? "Yes, and you ruined it too." The only damage I did to her car was a dent across the front of the car, meanwhile mine was totaled. The paramedic said, "Ma'am, could you please leave her alone? The officers will talk to you in a bit, and you can tell them there. And you've already proven to be delusional from your little broken leg stunt." "Delusional? You're the one faking it. I'm the victim here." Karen then decides it's a good idea to pull me out of the car and get me to stand on my broken leg with no warning whatsoever. Of course, as soon as she lets go of my wrist, I stumble back, fall on my chair, and hit my head on pavement. I'm not really sure what happened next, since I was dazed from bashing my head on the pavement, but because of all the yelling, "But my kids!" and "I'm suing all of you," I'm pretty sure she was arrested on the count of assault. I was brought to the hospital. I ended up spending 2 extra days in North Carolina because I couldn't drive due to my broken leg and concussion and had to be picked up by a friend/coworker. I'm currently working with my lawyer on pressing charges. This happened 4 months ago. Posted by user Throwaway39981, titled, My father's third wife rips up the carpet to try to force him to spend his inheritance. I've had a very rocky relationship with my father. He was a very emotionally abusive man who blamed all of his issues on everyone else in his life. I haven't had much of a relationship with him as an adult, but boy did he meet his match with his third wife. They met in 1999 on ICQ through Random Meet feature. At the time, they were both married to their previous spouses. The four of them started an innocent enough couple's friendship, but unbeknownst to my stepmother and her husband, my father and this woman had started an emotional affair online, cybersexing all the time and professing their love to one another while each was going to couples counseling working on their marriage. My stepmother was even telling this woman her deep down feelings about the relationship, a huge betrayal now that she knows that this woman was using it against her. When they finally told their spouses, seemingly timed in a way to cause the most pain, they decided she would move from her home in Louisiana to Indiana and start a life together while their spouses struggled to understand what had happened. I have never forgiven my father for the narcissism this took on both of their parts, but he just blamed it on my stepmother, convinced I would one day come to accept them as a couple. He was so in denial about how bad the rift between us had grown after years of emotional abuse that they even bought me Christmas presents that year, convinced I would come home. I didn't speak to him for years. I was young and angry and I needed space. The first time I met her was at my grandfather's funeral years later. She seemed nice enough, but she absolutely wanted to hear nothing negative about my father and was quick to make snide remarks about my mother and stepmother. She was convinced that my father's ex-wives had put me against him and her, and that she could suck up to me and have the sort of relationship with me that my stepmother did. I let her add me on AIM, but the conversations just became more and more demanding that I just come and have a relationship with him while he's still blaming the women in his life for everything that's ever gone wrong in his life. For the record, my mother and stepmother never said a negative word about him and encouraged me to have a relationship with him if it was possible. She really believed that she was entitled to have the same relationship with me, a person in their 20s who had only just met her and didn't particularly like her, as my stepmother, a woman who had been there for me unconditionally since I was 8, had. The last straw for me with her was when she messaged me on Facebook and started chewing me out for not wishing my father a happy birthday on his Facebook profile. I had enough of her nonsense, told her off, told her to mind her own business, and blocked her on every platform she had added me on. I didn't speak to her for years, except for a brief exchange at my grandmother's funeral. I didn't have a relationship with her and felt no reason to have to pretend I liked her. I was too busy living my life, going to university, studying abroad, making something of my life, and I didn't need them or their drama. Well, not long after my grandmother's death, they got divorced, and I finally heard the story. See, it turned out my grandparents were rich, and I had no idea growing up. They had managed to save enough money so that all of their children and grandchildren would get a generous inheritance. My father, like his sisters, suddenly found himself in possession of $250,000. In the years between, they had moved from Indiana down to Louisiana so she could be close to her aging mother and had a modest house in the suburbs of New Orleans. Now, the story goes that my father, who had switched jobs several times in his life and had a questionable amount of retirement income, decided to do the smart thing and invest the $250,000 for his retirement and/or a rainy day. His wife, on the other hand, wanted to use the money to make improvements to their house, including putting brand new carpet down. He did not think this was necessary and thought that the carpet they had was fine for at least a while longer. His wife was not happy with being told no, and decided that she was going to make him spend money on carpet. So, one day while he was at work, she ripped up all the carpet in the house, thinking that, with no carpet in the house, he would have to buy new carpet. He came home that day to bare floors all over the house. From what I hear, she put on her best surprise Pikachu face when he immediately moved out and basically told her to frick off. They divorced not long after. As the story was being told to me, I looked at the person telling it and said, I never thought I would encounter someone more manipulative than my father, but it seems he met his match. They really did deserve each other. As an addendum, she contacted my stepmother again not long after they separated, crying about how horrible my father was treating her, and acting like this wasn't the same person who already betrayed my stepmother years earlier. It was like she thought they could go back to being old buds. My stepmother told her where to take that bullcrap. None of us have heard from her since. Posted by user PokeChamp Marks. Titled, "It's already in my house, lol." So I'm a window and door installer. This was a normal day of installing with my one partner, who is also my boss. It was 5 window and 1 door if I remember. After everything was finished and cleaned up, I take my clipboard and pen and walk from our service van to the front door. Husband and wife are home at the time. The wife answers the door, and I say, "So we're all done. I just need you to sign our paper saying we completed the job, and I will collect the final payment for this job." "Okay, I'll sign." She takes the clipboard and hands it back after signing. "Okay, so now I just need the payment." And she says, "Oh, I'm not paying." "I'm sorry? I'm not paying. This took way too long to finally get done. I had such a hassle getting a day scheduled this. I am not paying." "I'm sorry you had trouble. If you want, I can call up the front office and maybe you can get a small discount. However, this is several thousands of dollars of material and work, so you're going to need to pay some amount of money." "Ha! Too bad it's already in my house, so it looks like you're crap out of luck." And she slams the door on me. I stand there for a minute, just taken aback, saying, "Is this real? No one has ever refused to pay before. What now? Am I really going to need to call the office and start a legal issue over this lack of payment?" Then the husband opens the door and comes to save the day. He says, "Hey man, sorry about her. Truth is, we had this job planned out for about a year now, and in the year since then, we've gotten a divorce. She lost the house and is in the process of leaving. Court says she still needs to pay her half of the amount of the job, and since she's not going to be living in this house, she doesn't want to pay." He hands me a check for the full amount. He says, "Here, take this. I'll deal with my ex-wife." And I say, "That sounds like a very difficult situation. Sorry to hear that. Thank you. I hope things go well for you. Have a good day." I feel so bad for this man, and hope he gets every penny from that tramp. Posted by user MathWizard7912. Titled, "Entitled Kid Wants to Play Switch on a Plane. Entitled Mother Yells at 10 p.m. Quick story, EM is Karen, EK is Entitled Brat, and I am the star of the show. Story. So I'm going on an overnight flight to Europe, and when I sit down, I see behind me the entitled kid. The entitled kid says to his mum in a whispering voice, "Mummy, he has a Switch." I don't think anything of it, and go to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It is 8 p.m. when entitled kid starts kicking my seat to try to get my attention. Luckily, he stops after 2 minutes. Then entitled kid goes on the screen on that seat. Now here comes the annoying part. He puts it at full brightness and full volume when people are trying to chill out. Here is the kicker though. He decides to go play a game, and it will match him against a player. I hopped on the screen and we matched against each other. Entitled Kid knows this and yells my screen name. Everyone says, "Shh." Then I decide to pull out my Switch before the nap. Entitled Kid says, "Can you give me your Switch? I'm bored." I'm sorry, but I don't give my Switch to strangers. Please? As I said, no. Entitled Mother swoops in. "Please, Entitled Kid has been so good. He needs the Switch right now." Everyone wakes up and gives Entitled Mother dirty looks. She shuts up and then doesn't speak to me for the rest of the ride. Oh, but don't click away yet because Entitled Kid would not stop asking and I just had to go to sleep. So I did. Good night, all Redditors watching this. Good night. Alright guys, that's where I'm going to end today's video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something that you didn't know before. If you haven't already, please do feel free to click that like button, as it really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already and you love today's video, please feel free to subscribe. I would love it a lot. Also, big shout out to all my Patreon members and channel subscribers. You guys are all up on the screen right now. I love you. I love your faces. Also, I love seeing you guys all chatting down below in the comments. It brightens my day to see the stories that you guys share, and just the kind words you guys always have for my videos, as well as everyone else in the videos. I love you too. But honestly, your ongoing support means the world to me, and I just love it so much that you guys are able to support a career for myself that I invest so much time into. And you guys honestly motivate me to work harder each and every day to put more love into the videos for you guys. If you guys have watched this far in the video and you haven't already subscribed on Patreon or become a channel member, that's cool, you don't have to, but there are links down below. You can donate any amount of money, pledge that any month, cancel whenever. I'm completely cool with it. It's just there for you to support me if you'd like to go the extra mile. And I'll go the extra mile for you guys by putting out new amazing content every single day. With that said, guys, I really hope you have a good day, night, sleep, bath, time at work, whatever you're up to today. This has been Marky. I'll see you in the next amazing video. Bye.